Hey Daily Dosers, Chris Hilkin here. We're talking about more evidence for God's existence.
In that case, I must have missed the initial evidence that you claim to be building upon. Did I skip a video? No, this is episode 2. Oh, you must be referring to the shit about the universe-sized golf ball. In that case, I can't even begin to imagine what might be coming in this video. God damn, it has been a hot minute, but I'm happy to announce that I've recently moved into my own apartment and should be able to start making content again with consistency never before seen on this channel. When was the last time I uploaded? January 22nd. Fuck, so much has changed. What are some notable things that have happened in that time? Well, if you follow me on Twitter, you've likely watched many changes in my life happen right before your very eyes. Since the last time I uploaded, my Twitter moved away from religion and more towards politics over the course of the Democratic primaries. Then I had a short-lived angry Bernie or bust phase before eventually coming to my senses and remembering that Donald Trump is in office and needs to be removed at any cost. So now we are reluctantly riding with Biden. What was it that reminded me that getting rid of Trump is the most important thing right now? Oh, right! Since the last time I uploaded, the United States has lost over 160,000 people to a global pandemic due to his utter incompetence. And then we had one of the largest protests in US history over racial injustice, and Trump's response was to threaten to shoot protesters and eventually start abducting them in unmarked vehicles. Criticizing religion is fun and all, but you all need to buckle up and get ready for this channel to get more and more political going forward, because that is definitely the direction we're going to be moving. Okay, with all the pleasantries out of the way, what do you have for me this time?
So yesterday we talked about this really simple question. Why is there something rather than nothing? In fact, if nothing isn't capable of doing anything, some people might say, well, nothing can do a lot of stuff. But that's a parapraxis. It's a mistake in terms. It's like if I said, well, baseball players can steal second base, so I can steal money. What I'm doing is I'm using the same term and I'm meaning two different things.
Is this guy preemptively trying to respond to criticism that he's just expecting to already be receiving from his first video by the time this one gets uploaded? Look, man, I really don't care whether you can personally wrap your mind around the fact that the universe began from what is, for all practical purposes, nothing. The experts in this field use the term nothing because it's easier to understand in many cases. This is nothing at all like you using somebody stealing a base as justification for robbing a bank.
Like right now, if I said, what am I holding in my hand, and I opened it, what might you say? Nothing. There's nothing in your hand, which is actually remarkably untrue.
Wow, it's almost like you really do understand the concept of nothing actually being something, but simply not having any practical application as being something in the context in which it's being referred to.
On top of the amount of cells that take place on the actual surface of my hand, the bacteria, there's air here, there's pockets, there's microbacteria, there's particles, there's probably dead skin, which is kind of gross. So saying nothing and saying, well, before there was anything, there was nothing, and some people might argue, well, what if nothing created everything? But you're giving properties to something that has no thing.
So then, by your own reasoning, the quote-unquote nothing that is in your hand is not capable of doing anything? I think reality might beg to differ on that point.
It doesn't have properties. It's not a vacuum. It's not pre-molecular bacteria. It's nothing. There is no thing.
The singularity can, in a practical sense, be thought of as being nothing, but in a more true sense it was actually everything that exists merely condensed into a single, infinitely massive point. Is that a super fucking weird fact that makes no intuitive sense to our monkey brains? Absolutely, but misrepresenting it is not the same as understanding it.
So today we ask the question, which is very simple. If the universe then had a point at which it began, because before that there was nothing, so at one moment, everything that is inside of our space-time continuum, which means space, time, and matter, had a beginning, then we can ask the question, well, if everything started at a certain point, and everything that we observe in our universe that begins has a cause, our universe had a point at which it began, therefore our universe must have a cause.
That does not, however, imply that that cause must have been conscious or intelligent or have any sort of intent behind it.
Must have a purpose.
Nope, took it too far. The fact that something exists does not implicitly mean that it has a given purpose. There is absolutely no reason to believe that. It's just something that people tell themselves to try and feel like they're more important than the microscope expects that they are in the vast emptiness of the universe.
Because what thing that's transcendent means bigger than the space-time continuum would create everything so intricately and not have a purpose or a cause behind it?
This question is so blatantly loaded with creationist bias that I honestly have no idea how to even go about answering it. Your question is invalid because it assumes a conscious force behind the beginning of the universe which there is no evidence to support.
So a causal agent means that something or someone, we would call that a personal being, means that they can make person-like decisions. They are conscious, they can rationalize. Something personal created everything. Because we see this conscious choice all throughout nature.
Wow, it's almost like you went exactly where I said you were going to go with that from the very beginning. Only problem is that you've still yet to give any justifiable reason to believe that this universe-shaping force had any sort of consciousness behind it.
So we say this very simply put this way. Everything that begins to exist has a cause of its existence. The universe began to exist, therefore the universe has a cause. The universe has a purpose.
Are you seriously just going to continue to conflate cause and purpose with no justification? What the fuck, man? I expect better than that. I mean, admittedly, not much better, but still.
Purpose and cause always point to intelligence. There really is no exception.
Purpose and cause always point to intelligence? Well, first of all, once again I will reiterate that you have yet to provide any justification for your conflation of cause and purpose, so I will not grant you purpose as an established aspect of the universe. So in that case, we're left with cause always pointing to intelligence. What intelligence causes the laws of gravity to function as they do? What intelligence causes Earth's tectonic plates to shift? If your only answer is magic, which is what your god implies, then I regret to inform you that you do not have an actual answer.
So all we have to do now is prove that the universe began to exist. Well, there's 3 different ways that the universe came to be. The first one is that the universe is necessary.
Whoa, that is a big-ass claim. Let's hear some empirical evidence to back it up.
Something that's necessary means that it exists out of the function of itself, like numbers. Ideas like numbers are a great example of something that exists necessarily. If there was never a human or never anyone ever, and there was just this distant planet where there were 2 rocks sitting beside each other, there would still be 2 rocks even if no one had ever qualified the idea of two-ness. It's an idea. It takes place. Wherever there's a set of things, there's a number that goes along with it. Now, obviously, if there was some ancient civilization that saw 2 rocks, they wouldn't say 2, but they would still have some understanding that there is a duality of them. There are 2 of them.
Okay, I mean, I guess I can grant you that in some capacity, but I'm really hoping that you aren't about to conflate the existence of the concept of numbers with the existence of the universe, because that would be really embarrassing for you.
So numbers exist out of necessity. They have to exist because things exist and things have numbers. Is the universe a number? No. The universe is an idea. It's not a set of numbers, so it doesn't exist out of necessity.
Oh, okay, good. I must have misunderstood you when you hopped straight into a list of ways in which the universe began to exist without first specifying that these were only theoretical and that you were not asserting each of them to be true. I grant you that point. The universe does not exist out of necessity. Look at us, agreeing on something for once. Who would have thought?
The other way it can exist is it can exist out of eternality. It means it's always been here. Well, we've already proven that it can't be that way. Albert Einstein proved that, the Hubble telescope proved that, the red light shift, George Lemaitre, they all proved that the universe hasn't always been here, so it can't be eternal.
Damn, look at us. We're on a roll right now when it comes to agreeing about things. Maybe I underestimated you. I'm sure the third option that you're about to assert as truth isn't going to tear us apart again.
So our third option is that the universe is contingent. A contingent being, or a contingent set, or a contingent something means it needs something for its existence, and that something can't be itself, right? If you asked me where did I come from, I could never say, I made myself. That would be what we call tautology. You'd be arguing in a circle. Some people go, well, the universe made itself. That's impossible, because the universe would have to be there in order to make itself, and it wasn't there until after it made itself, so universes can't make themselves.
Again, technically the universe did already exist. It was merely condensed into a singular point, which then expanded to create the universe as we know it today, but go on.
So what are we looking for? When you ask me where did I come from, what do I have to appeal to? A cause outside of myself. My cause would be my parents. If I find a rock on the ground, the cause would be off the side of that mountain. Well, why is that mountain there? Well, that mountain sprang into existence when the original expansion of the universe happened.
It's a minor point, but I do feel the need to point out the childlike understanding of somebody making the claim that a mountain sprang into existence when the initial expansion of the universe happened. I think somebody may have skipped the lesson about plate tectonics.
Everything has a cause to it. Now you take the whole universe and you say, well, the universe is a thing. It's not necessary. It's not eternal, which means it needs a cause, but the cause can't be itself. Well, what's outside of the universe? That must be powerful enough to create the universe, ordered enough to sustain the universe, and intelligent enough to put complexity in the universe. When we find something that has the power to create worlds, has power to create everything that we know, we would consider that thing the most powerful being ever, which is what we all kind of mean when we say God. Second evidence for the proof of God.
So the universe can't create itself, which means there must have been something outside of it that caused it, and for whatever reason you are asserting that that something that caused the universe to be created had to be intelligent. And now you're saying that this thing which exists outside of the universe and created it was your God, but in order for your God to do so, that means your God must be powerful enough to create the universe, ordered enough to sustain the universe, and intelligent enough to put complexity in the universe. So naturally, that would mean that this God had to be more powerful than the universe, more finely ordered than the universe, and more intelligent than the universe in order to create it. So now, rather than asserting that something as complex as the universe came from nothing, you are asserting that something that is necessarily even more complex than the universe came from nothing to be able to then create the universe. So if you want it to be logically consistent, that means that in order for your God to exist in all of his extreme complexity, there must be something even bigger and more complex than your God that existed before him, so that it could create him so that he could create the universe. And then that thing that made your God who made the universe would have to be even bigger and more complex than your God, so it would also need an explanation, which means that there would have to be something even bigger and more complex than the thing that was even bigger and more complex than your God, who was even bigger and more complex than the universe, so that it could exist before the thing that created your God who created the universe, so that there was something to be able to create the thing that created your God that created the universe. But then that thing would be even bigger and even more complex and would need an even bigger, even more complex thing to have created it. Congratulations, you invented the infinite regression of a creator God in 2019. That takes a real special kind of stupid. This guy honestly blows my mind. There is no way he can seriously be this stunningly unaware of how nonsensical his arguments are. In the first video, I believed that this guy might just be dumb, but at this point I'm starting to believe that he actually does know how ridiculous his reasoning is, but also knows that if he says it with enough confidence, people will believe him anyway, and I find that to be even more disgusting. Well, we're 2 episodes into a 5-episode series on different lines of evidence for God, and so far we have argument from giant golf ball and argument from infinite regression. Not gonna lie, my expectations were low, but this guy has failed to meet even the lowest expectations that I could have possibly set for him. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe for future content. Leave a comment below with suggestions for future videos you'd like to see, and as always, have a blessed day, fellow heathens.